Hi, my name's Fred Reed. I'm from CNY Live. Again, this is great that we're starting to get back to interviews with musicians and people in the industry, or whatever you want to call it. And today I got a great special spotlight on a local musician that I'm sure everybody knows, blues, jam guitarist from several different bands. Not that he's a whore about music, but I'd like to welcome to the CNY Live interview stage, Mike. Please introduce yourself.
Mike Vincitore.
Vincitore. I got caught up there. Mike, thanks for taking the time. I like spotlight musicians, especially the ones that I've seen on a couple occasions or many occasions that really, just put forth a really original effort and like quality performance. Like really, when you're on stage, you look like you love what you're doing.
I do.
So. Let's talk about whatever got you to pick up the X or the sixth string or whatever you want to call it.
Probably when I was in fourth grade. I want to say I was about 10 years old. It was 1983. I wanted to play in the school band, but they didn't have enough slots. Like drums was what really kind of enticed me. But I ended up getting a guitar with my own money, and then my parents paid for the lessons for a couple of years. But I wanted to play rock and roll music, the Stones and Led Zeppelin, the Who, all the bands, the Beatles, Eric Clapton, Eddie Van Halen, really,
Yeah, he was really up in the 80s, 83.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of the guitar prowess, players, if you will, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai was another one that really got me into, learning rock guitar. And then studying with a few different, great teachers over the years. So,
any local teachers or anybody that you might want to call out?
Well, my very first teacher was Mr. Oliveri at Allegro Music, but then Mark Copani, Mark Balestra were great teachers. I had the opportunity to study with with a colleague, Tim Herron. I'm sure you know Tim Herron. Was a great player and taught me some jazz. Improvisation skills and some of the real book. So from there.
What was like the first band you were in or group that you were in? What did you guys do and who was it?
We met at St. Bonaventure University. It was the band Red Light District, or RLD. In 1992 it would have been. We did original stuff. At first we did like the normal covers that a bar band, classic rock type covers, some R&B stuff, Mustang Sally and, Midnight Hour, Soul Man, those kind of songs, that are standards. But we also wrote our own stuff, and we went into the studio around that fall, late or winter, so that was my first experience in a recording studio.
Oh, yeah.
Down near St. Bonaventure.
So that was all down there?
Yeah.
And or is any of that these CDs around, or are they cassette tapes? Or
Well, actually, the first one was a cassette tape. I think we released that. It was called "Been Around Town" in 1993. But then the next year we made a CD. "Safe and Comfortable" was called. We ended up making, I think, 3 or 4 different CDs. Some of them, I believe, are on iTunes.
Oh, okay.
But we kind of came around in a time that was like just before the internet became, the vehicle to get your music out there and to develop a following with social media, etc. So we kind of missed that, that wave of the internet.
Right.
But we were able to do it on college radio and going to many colleges in New York State, Pennsylvania, the Northeast, like Vermont and Maine, and
Really?
Traveled, pretty much the East Coast.
So you did some touring with this?
We did, yeah, and we got to play with some big time performers like Willie Nelson, Leonard Skinner, and some other people like Blues Traveler, and a few other jam bands in that.
So that's red light district.
Yep.
So if somebody is going to look it up, or
Yeah, that's
maybe
my first band.
maybe stop down to Soundgarden,
Yep.
maybe you can find one down there or something.
Yeah, they may have some of our CDs down there.
I probably would suggest it, and I haven't even heard it yet, but it just sounds like what you guys were doing were right on the money. For
It was
something
kind of like
cool.
in like the Dave Matthews Matchbox 20, sort of like a Bare Naked Ladies, in that general genre, if you will.
So it's kind of funny, and I could be wrong about this, but it sounds like now the things you're doing are in a different realm.
Mhm.
Not different. I mean, they all can be played together. Obviously, it's not that far off a certain path. But like what was next after Red Light District?
Dark Hollow was like the big.
Oh, was it? So you've been doing that one for a while now.
Since around 95 or 96. So we just
Okay.
celebrated I think our 25th anniversary, which might have been our 25th / 26-year anniversaries together.
Like who knows?
With the whole COVID thing, so
Yeah.
like time I feel like has gone through a warp, if you will.
Yeah, that was 2020 was a leap year, I guess. It just went away really
Yes.
quick. So Dark Hollow you've been with for a long time.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, I mean, how many are the original musicians besides you?
In Dark Hollow, I would say Mike O'Hara was like one of the original guys. He's the lead singer of the band, and he has his own solo stuff. We're collaborating to try to put out a record or an EP, hopefully next year,
No
spring
kidding.
or maybe summer. We've been working on it for a while now, for a couple of years, but I think we have enough material where we can come down here and lay it down, at least do the basic tracks for it, and then maybe have somebody mix it,
Sure.
like the Mole or Jocko or one of the
Right.
guys from Subcat, have them mix it and master it that way.
So is that? I mean, I don't know what I think some people just take Grateful Dead as its own genre. But
It kinda is.
I mean, is it kind of be around? Are you guys doing that kind of realm?
No.
Are you doing your own like something else?
Our own
genre wise.
Our own stuff.
Okay.
Which is kind of a multi-genre experience as well.
Excellent.
We're trying to keep, not have any boundaries, if you will.
That is cool. That's cool. It just
Non-Grateful Dead, preferably,
Well, but people love it. So, I mean, you guys always have a good big crowd there and
Understood,
stuff.
yeah.
And
And I'm grateful, no pun intended, for those
Yeah.
people and, the audience.
Exactly. Yeah,
Family, really.
they are. They're
love.
diehard fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's what I did notice something though is for many years since like 2000, since 2000 actually, is like just a lot of bands just turned to just being cover bands. But one thing I think COVID did is all of a sudden these musicians had time to just sit down and just do something maybe that they've always wanted to do. Because I really don't think musicians just strictly want to play covers their whole life. Maybe some do, I don't know. But as a amateur musician myself,
Magician, yeah.
Original music drives me more writing something. I mean, did the COVID give you an opportunity to real just kind of buckle down on something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went back and I had all these ideas from that I might just record on a phone or just like a field recorder, a Tascam, if you will. So like I'd write, I'd be like, okay, I got this idea, play a minute or two of it, and I'll come back to it. So I started to take stock in, what were some of these songs that I've, started or musical ideas, I want to focus them into, do we want to record them with, say, the Light Keepers or with the Mike O'Hara band? Do we want to, I have a new group called the Fillmore Blues Band, which we've been doing. So those are more like blues-based, Steve Kaufman and Sean Bookman, Midnight Mike Petroff, who the Petroff name, I mean, they're like a blues dynasty in Central New York. So I love playing with those guys and learning the history of the blues, especially from Midnight Mike. I mean, who is just like an encyclopedia of it.
Okay.
So it's just like, I'm like listening and be like, oh yeah, the history and just how the phrasing,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
that musical conversation, if you will.
Yeah, it's not a game. It's a conversation. Yeah. Yeah,
when
you're
to
right.
play and when to just lay back and be like, you know what, it's that person's turn.
Exactly.
I just need to sit in the pocket and just play rhythm. So.
That's the fun of blues, though. Just you kind of like, not on purpose though, but you watch through the Light Keepers. You've been with the Light Keepers for a while, though, correct?
Yeah, we started probably around 2004 2014, I want to say, 2015, maybe in that.
Because the Lightkeepers were the first interview that I personally did for, well, CNY Live did all together. We did it at Subcat. We had the whole band there and your manager. I don't remember.
Yep, Scott. Yep, Catucci.
That was a lot of fun. That was probably the first band I personally saw you playing was the Lightkeepers. So, you know, we really had fun with that. And you guys have put out a couple
Yep.
CDs and stuff.
Yep, you can get them on iTunes and all the, you know, Spotify and, you know, Amazon Music, all those, you know, channels, if you will.
So now you've really mentioned 4 bands that you're currently active with.
Yeah, now Red Light District, we really don't play.
Well, no, not that.
but
You said Dark Hollow,
Dark
Michael
Hollow.
Har,
Michael Hara Band, yep.
Lightkeepers, and then Fillmore.
Fillmore Blues
So
Band.
that's 4, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Any more that we should?
Well, we have a little Half Past Dead is like a fun dead band that I play with my friend Bobby out in like Verona, Oneida area.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's just kind of an offshoot. Some of the Dark Hollow guys have, you know, played with me. You know,
Sure.
more of like a fun, just, you know.
Part-time.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like when we're available, you know, hey, we can do the date. You know, everybody's available. Let's, you know, make some music and, you know,
Right.
just have fun with it.
So that means, folks, that there's plenty of places and times to see Mike play. So you have no excuse anymore. But it really brings me to one of the main reasons that we're sitting here in your studio is, you know, is that I got to first say, how do you find time to do this with all that going on? But, you know, tell us a little bit more about what you have here studio-wise.
Okay. Well, this was a project that started out of COVID. I'll give a shout out to our late friend who had passed on, Matt Serio. He was the one who ran the soundboard and knew how to multi-track for my computer. You know, I owned the gear, but, you know, really focused on playing. So Matt was kind of, you know, the engineer there making things happen. But once he passed away, and then that was during COVID, I said, you know what, I owe it to him, and, you know, to really learn this, you know.
The new style of recorder, the
Yeah.
current style
Yeah,
of recording.
and I had been recording multi-track since probably 92 or 93, so it wasn't like, oh, you know, I didn't have any experience in it. You know, I had, you know, made 8 or 10 records, you know, in, you know, professional studios. But this was my first try at learning how to do it, you know, DIY, you know. So I read so many books, listened to audio books, watched tutorials on, you know, on YouTube, and, you know, really did my homework in terms of, you know, how do we get this to sound well. And I have an engineer who works for me, Matt Figueroa is his name, Squirrel is his nickname, that is my Tuesday night engineer here. You know, we're looking for one for the blues night for Thursday, so any engineers who want to mix on Thursday evenings, you know.
There you go. There you go.
Give a shout out, you know, to them.
Employment. No.
But just trying to get it to sound as consistent as possible,
Sure.
you know. So I mix it down after we record, maybe like we'll multi-track a rehearsal or a session, and then like the next day or two I'll start, you know, editing it, you know, which I found that you know, my editing skills have developed, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's like guitar, you know, the more you do it, the more you practice it, you know, the more solid you're going to be on it and understand where you're going before you even start. So, so yeah, I can only imagine with everything you're doing, how busy, how much time you're you know, investing in on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a full-time gig, you know, and now I have bands who want to record here and for me to produce their records.
Well, that was my next question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. No, great for answering before I said it.
So yeah, I'm going to go into that realm as well,
Okay.
you know, because I had produced our records as we've gone along, or at least in a co-production standpoint.
Well, sure, yeah.
You know, from 92 on. But this is my first opportunity to really be, you know, in the producer's chair, okay, in the engineer's chair, you know, wearing those kind of hats rather than, you know, playing it on an instrument, if you will. So that's my instrument now that I'm really, you know, trying to learn as much as possible and refine, you know, what I'm doing, you know, as an engineer.
Sure, yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, and so if a band wants to come here and stuff, I mean, is there any, I don't want to say limitations. Like, well, how can they come and talk to you about it? How do they get a hold of you?
I'll give my phone number out.
Well, right ahead if
My
you want.
email, yeah, sure.
You can give it out, and then we'll put
Okay,
it. We'll put it underneath too. So, but,
Sounds good.
Yeah.
315-380-2589.
And email?
Yep, Michael_Vincitore@yahoo.com. That's Michael_Vincitore as in Edward @yahoo.com.
Okay. Now, you don't have any, for the recording studio and stuff, you don't have any Facebook or website set up for it at this time?
I don't have an official page. We haven't incorporated yet.
Okay.
That is our goal. I do have a SoundCloud account, though, that has a lot of sound samples in some of the various different bands that have recorded here, or,
Okay, what would
That I
they,
think.
under
SoundCloud, Michael Vincitore.
Look it up,
Yep.
okay.
And then you can find that, listen to it, and hear some of the, the development in the audio quality.
Sure. Yep.
From COVID to now.
To now.
Is, I
Good.
think a significant development.
That's perfect. And we'll put the information underneath the story here, underneath
Okay.
the video and stuff. So down there, now if everybody's
Yeah.
looking at it. So with it, what in the end, your goal is really to start not just recording your own stuff, but have other bands down here and everything, and like really make a studio name for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and still find time to play in 4.5 bands.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I tell the guys who play in Half Past Dead, I said, that's only half of a band.
Yeah.
Half past because it's half past, You
Got
can
it.
pick and choose, be like, okay, I'm available these dates, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But,
right. What's and out of all of this, out of all of what you do and everything, what really satisfies, like?
I just think connecting with other musicians, becoming friends and building those relationships, and just seeing other people be successful, helping them be like, okay, if you do this little thing and you do it, and you get better at it each time,
Right.
you're going to see success.
Right.
Try not to get discouraged, and be, persevere,
Yeah.
use perseverance to,
Keep plugging away.
Yep,
and- Yeah, that's
exactly.
good. And it's good to have other musicians around that will support one another and, to make sure, everybody succeeds and enjoys, not just succeeds, but enjoys what they're doing,
Mhm.
Let's just close this out with I'm sure any one of the bands we talked about, we can find them either on Facebook or
Mhm.
probably Facebook would be the best way to start out. And like you said, he's not really in Red Line District anymore, but
Red
I would
light-
say
red light, yeah.
Red Light. Sorry, Red Light. I would say go back and research that. I'll go back and look it up. I really don't
It's
know more.
worth taking a listen, though. Some of the songs were, high quality songs, and the production was really nice. We recorded in Utica at Baba Guaviva's Ak Rock. So
Never heard of it, but
yeah, it was.
you enjoyed it. That's what's
Yep.
important. Where can we see you coming up? What kind of things you have? We got really Thanksgiving's really close, but then you got the other holidays coming up. What do you got going on with your bands?
We're doing a Dark Hollow duo at the Nest in Apulia Station, which is like Tully, really. Sunday, December 5th, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Free show inside. They have great wings there.
That's important.
They get a lot of the skiers to come out afterwards, the different ski slopes. Also, Dark Hollow is playing the Westcott Theater December 11th. So that's
Yep.
a big one. And then Lightkeepers Trio will close out the year at the Nest on Sunday, the 12th of December, also 4 p.m.
There you go. Who plays in the trio?
So the trio is Jess Sheldon on vocals, the lead singer, and then PJ Will on guitar.
And you.
Yep,
And
and me, yeah.
let's not forget who we're talking about here. Anything else you want to put out to people that are still watching?
No.
Yep. Mike.
Thank you, Fred. I appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much for spending the time with us.
It was an honor.
Yeah, it's more of an honor for me just to sit down with very accomplished musicians, and I like really putting the spotlight on people that really deserve it for their quality. And like I said, you just have a quality when you're up there playing. You look like you just love it, and just I hope you never stop.
Oh, thank you. It's
Hope
my
to do-
passion.
We hope to do more of these in the future, and everybody stay well, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Happy holidays, folks.